A new rumor out of China claims Apple is about to begin iPhone 18 mass production testing extremely early, starting in the first days of January, running devices on the mass manufacturing line one after another. And if that schedule is real, the next step happens fast. Full production could begin right before Chinese New Year, which falls on February 17, 2026. That is a wild timeline for a phone that's still expected to be announced in September. According to the same insider, Apple has already set up the iPhone 18 Pro manufacturing line. But here's the twist. They claim the iPhone 18 Pro won't get the massive outward redesign that a lot of people are expecting. So why would Apple start production activity this early if launch season is still months away? Honestly, it doesn't perfectly add up, which is why you should treat this rumor carefully. But even if the schedule is slightly off, the bigger message is clear. Apple is moving earlier, moving faster, and preparing for a major iPhone strategy shift. And once you look at everything else being reported, the features, the lineup changes, and the release schedule rumors, the iPhone 18 story starts to make a lot more sense. So let's break down everything we know so far about the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max, the biggest upgrades, the most believable leaks, and what this could mean for anyone planning to upgrade in 2026 and 2027. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Apple may be changing the iPhone release schedule. For more than a decade, Apple's pattern has been simple. Announce the full iPhone lineup in September, ship everything in the fall, and keep the lineup moving year by year. But multiple reports suggest Apple is preparing to split iPhone launches into two separate release windows. The rumored plan looks like this. Fall 2026, premium models, first iPhone 18 Pro, iPhone 18 Pro Max, and possibly Apple's first foldable iPhone, spring 2027, standard models, later basic iPhone 18, plus additional variants like an iPhone 18e and a next-gen iPhone Air. If that happens, the regular iPhone 18 wouldn't launch in 2026 at all. It would arrive in spring 2027. That will be the first time Apple goes an entire calendar year without releasing a new non-Pro flagship iPhone. And the reason is simple. Apple's iPhone lineup is getting crowded. Between models like the iPhone 16e, iPhone Air, older iPhones still staying on sale, and a foldable iPhone potentially joining the lineup. Apple could have 8 or more iPhone models selling at the same time by the end of 2026. A staggered release schedule would help Apple differentiate models more clearly, reduce internal competition, spread marketing across the year, avoid production bottlenecks, balance supply chain pressure for advanced components, smooth revenue across multiple quarters instead of one giant fall spikes. So when you hear early mass production testing, it might not be about a September deadline. It might be about Apple reorganizing the entire pipeline to support a bigger, more complex iPhone portfolio. Now, let's get into the upgrades people actually care about. Here are the 6 biggest rumored iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max changes, and why they matter. New iPhone 18 Pro colors, more personal, less boring. Apple is reportedly expanding color options with 3 new finishes: burgundy, light brown, and a lighter purple. This might sound minor, but color is one of the easiest ways Apple drives upgrades year after year. And if the rumors are true, this is Apple leaning harder into personalization, giving people something more expressive than the usual black, white, and gray cycle. A bigger battery that could change everything. One of the biggest claims is that the iPhone 18 Pro Max could jump to a massive 5,500 milliamp hours battery. If Apple really goes this big, yes, there's a chance the phone becomes slightly thicker or heavier. But the payoff could be huge. Longer streaming, longer gaming sessions, more camera use, more navigation, and fewer anxiety moments where you're hunting for a charger at 6 p.m. For a lot of users, battery life is the only upgrade that truly changes daily life. And this could be the first time in years that Apple makes a battery jump big enough to feel next level. New custom chips for efficiency and faster wireless multiple leaks point to Apple working on upgraded connectivity silicon, often described as AC2 or C2X chip, focused on better efficiency and communications. On top of that, a rumored N2 chip could bring Wi-Fi 8 support, which would mean faster speeds, lower latency, more stable connections, better performance in congested environments, like apartments, offices, airports, and stadiums. This isn't just about download speed. This is about making everything feel instant airdrop, iCloud syncing, streaming, cloud gaming, FaceTime, hotspot use, and smart home control. Satellite connectivity that goes beyond emergencies. Apple already has satellite SOS features, but the iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to take a bigger step, possibly integrating satellite communication more deeply, potentially through partnerships like Starlink. If that becomes real, it could mean connectivity in places where normal networks fail: mountains, deserts, remote highways, disaster situations, flights, or offshore travel regions with limited cell coverage for travelers, hikers, and people who live outside major cities. This could be one of the most meaningful safety upgrades Apple has ever shipped. A major camera sensor leap, including 200MP talk. Apple is rumored to be working with Samsung on a 3-layer stacked camera sensor technology aimed at improving clarity, reducing noise, and boosting dynamic range. And yes, there's also 200MP speculation. Megapixels alone don't guarantee better photos, but if Apple combines a high-resolution sensor with the right processing and optics, this could bring sharper detail without artificial overprocessing, cleaner night shots, better digital zoom crops, more flexible editing with fewer quality losses. The goal here is simple: make iPhone photos look more like real life, not like a filter. Variable aperture for smarter photography. One of the most exciting rumors is variable aperture on the main camera, possibly reserved for the iPhone 18 Pro Max. This would allow the camera to physically adjust how much light it takes in, depending on the scene. More light for low-light environments, better highlight control in bright scenes, more natural background blur when you wanted more depth of field control for portrait-style shots. If Apple ships this, it's a serious photography move, less computational guesswork, more real optical control. Now let's talk design, because the front of the iPhone might finally change in a way people actually notice. One of the most repeated iPhone 18 Pro rumors is that Apple may start moving beyond the dynamic island. The reports suggest a cleaner front with a hole-punch selfie camera cutout under screen Face ID technology, potentially relocating the front camera to the top left corner. If Apple can pull off under-display Face ID reliably, it would be one of the biggest visual changes since the notch first appeared. More usable screen space, cleaner symmetry, and a more futuristic look without sacrificing secure authentication. On the back, the Pro models are expected to keep the familiar camera layout, but with major internal upgrades, new sensors, improved processing, and potentially that variable aperture system. Performance is another area where 2026 could get serious. The iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max are rumored to use an A20 Pro chip built on a next-generation 2nm process. If true, that likely translates to higher performance for gaming and editing, better efficiency for battery life, more headroom for on-device AI features, less heat under heavy loads, better long-term performance as iOS evolves. There are also rumors Apple could change chip packaging and internal layout, placing components closer together for improved speed and lower power draw. In other words, not just faster benchmarks, better real-world performance that stays consistent for years.